Good evening, my friends. Come close, settle your mind, and let the noise of the day fall away. Tonight, I am going to share something with you that very few people on this planet ever truly discover. Not a trick, not a tactic, not another method to cope with the problem you've been wrestling with, but a way to transform it so completely that it no longer exists in the form you recognize. Most people spend their entire lives trying to push away the very thing that was meant to reveal their power. They run from it, fear it, suppress it, negotiate with it. But you and I, we are going to take a different path tonight. Because what I am about to show you is not about resisting, and it is not about conquering. It is about transmuting, turning what once felt like a burden into the pure fuel of your evolution. There is a moment, a single pivotal shift, where everything inside you reorders itself. And when you understand the shift, when you learn how to activate it consciously, your entire inner world begins to move in a new direction. Tonight, you will learn that shift. Tonight, you will hear a revelation your consciousness has been waiting for. Most people believe they understand the source of their struggle. They name it, label it, diagnose it, and assume the label is the truth. Some say the issue is fear. Others call it procrastination. Some believe it is a lack of motivation, or discipline, or clarity. And because they misunderstand the nature of the problem, they spend years attempting to fix something that was never the true obstacle in the first place. Think of the countless times you've tried to force yourself forward, pushing, convincing, negotiating with your own mind. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. You promise yourself you'll be different next week. You gather plans, strategies, routines, yet somehow the same invisible barrier pulls you back into the same familiar patterns. You feel stuck, and no matter how much effort you apply, the stuckness remains. But here is what most people never realize. What you call fear is not fear. What you call resistance is not resistance. What you call stagnation is not stagnation. These are only the shadows of a deeper mechanism at work. The real cause, one almost no one sees, is that your consciousness is attempting to operate in two contradictory directions at the same time. You are trying to move forward while another part of you is quietly holding the brakes. You are trying to choose expansion while simultaneously clinging to what feels familiar. This split creates friction, confusion, paralysis. It is not weakness, and it is not failure. It is divided inner command. Tonight, you will see that mechanism clearly. And once you see it, it can no longer control you. To understand the true nature of this inner struggle, you must look beneath the surface of your thoughts and enter the architecture of your consciousness itself. What you experience as hesitation, fear, or paralysis is not a force acting against you. It is the result of split attention, a divided inner command that sends two opposing signals into your reality at the same time. Imagine a powerful river flowing forward. This river is your desire, your intention, your natural movement toward growth. But now imagine another current beneath the surface, quietly pushing in the opposite direction. Neither current is wrong. Neither is malicious. But when both operate simultaneously, the river becomes turbulent, confused, chaotic. It cannot move cleanly in either direction. It churns in place. This is exactly what happens within you. One part of your consciousness is urging you to expand, to step into the version of yourself that you know is waiting. But another part is clinging tightly to what is familiar. Not because it prefers the smallness, but because it equates familiarity with safety. Consciousness always seeks stability. When it senses a shift, even a positive one, it tries to anchor itself to what it already knows. This is why your problem feels so powerful. Not because it has power, but because your consciousness is sending two opposite commands with equal intensity. You say, I want change, and in the same breath, but please don't let anything change too much. The conflict creates friction, and the friction creates the illusion of an immovable obstacle. The issue is not that you lack courage or clarity. The issue is not laziness or fear. The issue is that your consciousness cannot operate in two states simultaneously. It must choose. And when you hold both the desire for transformation and the attachment to the familiar at the same time, consciousness defaults to the state that feels more real, usually the old, familiar self. This is why people stay trapped for years. Not because they are incapable, but because they unknowingly reinforce the divided command every single time they try to push past it. But tonight, something changes. Tonight, you will learn how to dissolve the split, how to unify your consciousness so completely that the old current loses its influence entirely. And when the two currents merge into one, the river of your life begins moving again with breathtaking speed. The technique you are about to learn is the key to that unification. Most people, when they finally become aware of this inner conflict, respond in the exact opposite way of what actually works. They sense the hesitation, the pullback, the invisible resistance, and their first instinct is to fight it. They push harder. They argue with themselves. They try to power through the discomfort. They gather motivational quotes, force discipline, and attempt to drown out the inner voice that hesitates. But here is what almost no one realizes. Every time you fight the problem, you feed it. When you argue with your fears, you confirm they are worth arguing with. When you battle your hesitation, you validate its presence. When you try to overpower your inner resistance, you acknowledge that it has power in the first place. In other words, the more attention you give to the struggle, even in an attempt to defeat it, the stronger and more real it becomes in your consciousness. People say things like, "I shouldn't be afraid. I need to get rid of this feeling. I have to stop holding myself back." But the moment you make the feeling an enemy, you make it significant. You give it weight, substance, reality. You make it something that must be overcome rather than something that can be dissolved. And so the cycle continues. Fight, friction, exhaustion, retreat, self-doubt. This is the trap your consciousness repeats, not because you are failing, but because no one ever taught you the correct way to interact with this internal mechanism. Tonight, that changes. Because the solution, the real solution, does not come from overpowering the old command. It comes from making it irrelevant. It comes from a shift so quick and subtle that resistance has no time to root itself. You are about to learn that shift. Here is the core method, and I want you to hear it with absolute clarity. You do not defeat the old pattern. You replace it instantly with a higher command. That is the entire technique. The moment you feel the familiar pullback, the hesitation, the old identity rising, the subtle inner no, you do not argue with it, you do not analyze it, you do not try to soothe it. You interrupt it immediately and redirect your consciousness to the version of you who has already moved beyond it. Not later. Not once you feel ready. Not after you calm down. Immediately. The technique is this. Notice the old reaction the instant it appears. Acknowledge it with complete neutrality. Then shift your attention, instantly, decisively, into the state of the self who has already acted, already transformed, already become. One clear movement. One inner pivot. You do not battle the old state because battling it gives it life. You replace it so quickly that it never gets the oxygen it needs to grow. This method is simple, but its simplicity is what makes it powerful. It bypasses the entire war within you. It cuts through the noise. It lets your consciousness choose one command, one direction, one identity. And when you apply it in the precise moment the old pattern rises, something extraordinary happens. The old command collapses instantly. Let's break this technique down step by step, so that there is no ambiguity about how it works and how you will apply it in your life. Step 1. Notice. The moment hesitation, doubt, or resistance appears, do not ignore it. Do not dismiss it as insignificant. Instead, observe it clearly. Say to yourself silently, "Ah, there it is. I see you." Within seconds, you have acknowledged the presence of the old pattern without judgment. Notice it, but do not entertain it. Step 2. Neutral acknowledgement. Do not argue with the feeling. Do not try to prove it wrong. Do not plead with yourself. Internal dialogue like, "This shouldn't be happening," or "I need to stop feeling this," feeds it, strengthens it, gives it reality. Instead, simply recognize it. I notice you. You exist, but you do not control me. Within seconds, this small acknowledgement creates separation between you and the old command. Step 3. Instant replacement. Immediately redirect your full attention to the self who has already acted, who has already transformed, who is already living the desired state. For example, if your goal is confidence, the moment hesitation arises, within seconds you pivot and tell yourself, "I am already calm, composed, and capable. I am moving forward effortlessly. If your goal is creativity, within seconds you return to the feeling of flow. I am already immersed in inspiration. Ideas come easily to me. Step 4. Sustain the new state. For the next moments, 25 to 30 seconds, remain fully in this new state. Feel it with all senses. Hear it, see it, embody it. Let the old command fade into irrelevance. Repetition is key. Every single time the old hesitation arises, you repeat these steps immediately, without exception. Within seconds, the old pattern loses its hold. Over time, it will stop appearing altogether because your consciousness no longer feeds it. Here's a quick scenario. You are about to speak in front of a group, and panic rises. You notice the panic, acknowledge it without judgment, and immediately shift to the state of calm confidence, imagining yourself speaking fluently, with every word landing perfectly. Within seconds, you are no longer bound by fear. You are fully operating from your chosen state. This is the practice. Notice, neutralize, replace, sustain, immediately, every single time. Repetition builds mastery. The old pattern cannot survive your consistent, conscious replacement. To understand why timing is everything, imagine a spark landing on dry wood. At first, it is tiny, almost invisible. Barely a flicker. Yet if you leave it alone, give it attention, let it linger, it grows. It consumes oxygen, spreads warmth, and soon a roaring flame emerges, one that is difficult to control. Your inner hesitation, your resistance, your old pattern operates in the same way. When it first arises, it is weak, subtle, barely noticeable. A passing thought, a whisper of doubt, a gentle tug backward. But the moment you give it attention, argue with it, question it, worry about it, you provide it with fuel. You nurture it. You allow it to grow roots deep in your consciousness. What could have been a flicker of awareness becomes a wildfire of indecision. This is why timing matters. There is a critical window, just a few seconds, where the old pattern is still fragile, still powerless. If you act within that window, immediately noticing and redirecting your attention, the pattern collapses before it gains strength. Miss the window, and it embeds itself, gaining momentum, and the struggle continues. You must understand this not as a rule to panic over, but as a truth to honor. Urgency does not mean anxiety. It means awareness. Calm, deliberate, immediate action. Within these first precious moments, you can neutralize the old command before it ever has a chance to dictate your experience. This is where mastery begins, in the art of instant redirection, acting before the whisper grows into a shout. Here is how you will train yourself over the next 7 days to master this technique. This is not theory. This is practice. Your consciousness is like a muscle. Repetition builds strength. Every time you catch the old pattern and redirect it, you are strengthening your mastery. Day 1. Your only job is observation. For the entire day, notice every moment hesitation, resistance, or inner pullback arises. Say to yourself, I see you, but you do not control me. Do not argue. Do not attempt to fix it. Simply notice and label it. Day 2 and 3. Begin the redirection. The instant the old pattern appears, acknowledge it, then immediately pivot your attention to the state of the self who has already succeeded. Use a simple phrase like, I am already confident, already capable, already moving forward. Practice this consciously every time the thought arises. Day 4 and 5. Reinforce the new state with sensory immersion. When you redirect, feel it fully. See it, hear it, imagine it as real. Engage all your senses. Say, I live in this reality now. Nothing else matters. The repetition trains your consciousness to prioritize the new state automatically. Day 6 and 7. Combine observation and redirection seamlessly. Notice, acknowledge, pivot, and embody, all within seconds. Make the response automatic. Every time you catch the old command, you weaken it. Every repetition strengthens your mastery. Throughout these 7 days, your focus is not on achieving your desire or solving the problem. Your focus is purely on mastery of redirection. One action, executed consistently, will change your consciousness. One action, repeated without exception, will transform your inner world. The frequency is the key. Every time you catch it, you grow stronger, faster, more unshakable. By the end of 7 days, the old pattern will lose its grip. You will have built a new reflex. Instant, effortless, unstoppable. Let me tell you about Daniel. 4 years, he had dreamed of starting his own business, but every time he took a step forward, an invisible resistance would stop him. He would sit at his desk, plans in front of him, heart full of ambition, and then the familiar inner voice would whisper, "You're not ready. What if you fail? What if it's too risky?" Day after day, that whisper grew louder until action felt impossible. Anxiety, frustration, and self-doubt became constant companions. When Daniel learned this technique, everything changed. The first time he practiced it, he noticed the resistance arise, immediately. Within seconds, he acknowledged it and redirected his attention to the version of himself who was already confident, already taking decisive steps, already succeeding. He repeated this simple pivot over and over. For the first time in years, he experienced calm certainty. The fear that had felt immovable was suddenly irrelevant, like a shadow that disappeared when the light shifted. Emotionally, Daniel felt lighter, freer, empowered. The nagging anxiety faded, replaced by clarity and enthusiasm. He no longer questioned whether he could succeed. He simply acted. Within days, he began sending proposals, making calls, and taking bold steps toward his vision. Within weeks, his business began to gain traction. Clients reached out, opportunities appeared, and momentum grew. Daniel's story shows the power of conscious redirection. The emotional shift came first, fear dissolved, confidence emerged. The physical manifestation followed naturally. His outer world reflected the inner transformation because his consciousness had chosen a new direction. Daniel's journey proves that mastery of attention is not abstract. It is real, practical, and life-changing. Here is the deeper truth most people never see. What you call fear and what you call confidence are not opposites. They are the same energy, the same force, moving through your consciousness, directed differently. Fear arises when that energy is pointed at uncertainty, hesitation, and limitation. Confidence arises when it is pointed at certainty, forward movement, and expansion. The energy itself is neutral. It is your focus that gives it form, meaning, and effect. When you practice this technique consistently, a profound shift occurs. You no longer feed the old patterns with attention. You redirect that same energy instantly into the state of the self who has already succeeded. What once was scattered, chaotic, and conflicted becomes unified, focused, and powerful. You experience alignment of mind, emotion, and will. You are no longer a battlefield of competing forces. You are a clear channel for your chosen reality. This is not delusion. You are not denying reality. You are acknowledging a higher principle. Consciousness creates experience. Where your attention flows, energy follows. By mastering this, you elevate the stakes of your entire life. Every hesitation, every doubt, every inner conflict becomes a training ground for awareness. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are the deliberate creator of your experience, fully aligned with the energy of your desired reality. Starting today, you are going to commit to one clear, non-negotiable task. For the next 7 days, you will choose one desire, one goal, one outcome, one vision that your heart most longs for. It could be confidence, a career breakthrough, financial abundance, or a creative achievement. Your only job is not to figure out how it will happen, not to analyze every step, not to debate whether it's possible. Your only job is this. Every single time hesitation, doubt, or resistance arises, you will catch it within seconds and redirect your attention immediately to the version of yourself who has already succeeded. No exceptions. No negotiations. No later, or I'll try. Absolute consistency is your path to mastery. By committing fully, you are creating a powerful feedback loop. Every redirection strengthens your consciousness. Every moment of alignment accelerates your transformation. By the end of 7 days, you will see a remarkable shift. This is your moment. Step into it fully, and watch the change unfold. As we close tonight, remember this universal truth. Consciousness creates reality. Every hesitation, every fear, every inner conflict only exists to the extent that you give it attention. The moment you redirect that attention to the state you choose, you reclaim your power. The world does not shape you. Your inner focus does. What you feed grows. What you ignore fades. And now, having learned this technique, you hold the key to directing your life with clarity, precision, and purpose. You are ready. You have the ability to notice, acknowledge, and instantly pivot your attention to the state of the self who has already succeeded. You are stronger than any hesitation, wiser than any doubt, and capable of creating your desired reality with the subtle power of your awareness. Carry this principle with you. I choose the state I occupy. My attention is my power. I feed only that which I wish to grow. Repeat it, feel it, live it. Until we meet again in consciousness, step boldly into your chosen reality. Align your mind, embody your vision, and let your inner command shape the life you were always meant to live. The journey is yours. Begin now.